relaxation time to your schedule. Epsom salt, magnesium sulfite salt, is also used for soaking magnesium baths. From my experience, magnesium chloride baths deliver more intensive and complete relief of the magnesium deficiency symptoms. Other options include magnesium salt-enriched creams or oils. Although not nearly as rewarding as a 40-minute bath, these topical applications do a good job relieving symptoms when applied routinely. Objection number 7. Low-carb diets cause high cholesterol. This answer is partly true, but the cholesterol that goes up is actually your good HDL cholesterol. To make this happen, you have to decrease and eventually remove carbohydrates from your diet. Cut out carbs and watch triglycerides drop. Raising your good cholesterol and dropping your triglyceride levels leads to a healthier heart. How come? Cutting down on carbs lowers inflammation from your system. Bad, or LDL cholesterol, is another story. Cholesterol was sold to us as a heart disease predictor. The cholesterol you eat is a fraction of what your body makes inside your body. Your liver and other cells make cholesterol to maintain tissues. It is a crucial repair substance needed for correcting cellular damage. Cholesterol is also that starting compound for making important hormones such as estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, cortisol, and aldosterone. This compound is an integral part of your brain and is crucial for proper nerve cell function. Without cholesterol, the human body does not work. Actually, your body makes extra cholesterol when it detects something needs repairing. Elevated cholesterol indicates the presence of inflammation and tissue damage. Cholesterol can warn us of an underlying problem of inflammation. A high-fat, low-carb diet lowers both inflammation and blood cholesterol levels. Re-listen to that sentence again. It's worth repeating. A high-fat, low-carb diet lowers both inflammation and blood cholesterol levels. Take a look at these two blood samples from the same patient. This is a 1961 report from the Association of American Physicians. They placed patients on a high-carbohydrate diet and tested their fasting plasma. That's the colorless part of your blood. Then they placed the same patients on several weeks of a high-fat diet with low carbohydrates. After weeks of each diet, they tested the patient's fasting plasma. The high-carbohydrate diet filled the plasma sample with cholesterol's white, fatty globules. Notice the test tube on the left is almost completely dense with a white, milky fluid. However, the plasma from the high-fat, low-carb diet on the right is from the same patient and yielded a clear serum with little to no suspended fat. Atherosclerosis can be arrested after 2 years of a ketogenic diet. This is consistent with my patient's clinical experience. The key part of this equation is that you must lower your carbs while eating high fat. Without honoring both of those rules at the same time, you are headed for disaster. Don't play around. Be sure to prove to yourself and the medical world that you are indeed producing ketones. Check regularly. Chapter 19. Lessons from Dr. Bosworth. Beginner's Groceries. That's a dirty trick. If you were listening to this audiobook and you zipped past all those other chapters and wanted to rush to the store and buy keto-friendly foods, stop. Please don't go grocery shopping until you have successfully done the How Do I Start chapter. For the rest of you, use this food collection to restock your pantry. Remember when I asked you to pause? This list is what I would ask you to take with you to the grocery store after you paused. Keep a supply of the following. Frozen food section. Broccoli, cauliflower, peppers, onions, dried are actually better than frozen, okra, spinach, kale, and frozen blackberries. This is the only fruit you're going to find on the list. Fresh foods include a whole head of cabbage and avocados. When first going keto, frozen vegetables kept me on the keto wagon many times. They helped me avoid cheating when I did not have time to go to the grocery store or chop fresh vegetables. As my palate changed, I found having a head of cabbage in the fridge was far more rewarding to eat than the frozen veggies. Cabbage did not spoil in the fridge and rewarded my craving for a fresh taste. Alternatively, tossing sliced cabbage with melted butter and garlic and placing it under the broiler made for a fast, tasty addition to meals. Avocados and I have had a love-hate relationship. I love the taste when they are fresh. I will salt a ripe avocado and eat it right out of its skin. But in my neck of the woods, they are far too costly to open one up and find it was last week's good idea. Use this trick when you open an avocado and find it starting to spoil. Scoop the avocado out into a Ziploc bag and place it in the freezer. Frozen avocados added to heavy whipping cream or coconut cream are the foundation to dozens of frozen fat bomb recipes. I have added peanut butter powder, some macadamia nuts, and a hint of stevia to the blender for a perfect keto fix. I had several spices and herbs in my cupboard before I began keto, but they had been in those same spice shakers for a half dozen years. This shift in food fuel sent me recipe hunting for great tasting keto-friendly foods. My initial failure to produce ketones was in large part due to the hidden carbs in the food I had grown accustomed to. Once I finally made a few ketones, I only trusted the food I personally prepared in my kitchen. This list of flavors took my kitchen experience to the next level. Rosemary, ginger, basil. Here's a good tip: buy a potted plant of basil. The extreme taste difference between fresh basil and dried basil amazes my tongue every time. Oregano, Italian seasoning, Cajun seasoning, black pepper, pink salt. After 2 weeks of ketosis and a few nights of leg cramps, I found every possible way to improve my magnesium. Salt baths corrected a lot of my symptoms. However, the addition of Himalayan pink salt to all of my foods and a few crystals in my pocket helped prevent low magnesium problems or the suffering sleepless nights. Every keto kitchen must have an abundance of eggs, real butter, and heavy whipping cream. Nearly every keto treat recipe includes these ingredients. Cans of coconut cream are a new normal for my pantry. In unexpected moments when my whipping cream carton runs empty, coconut cream is there to rescue my recipes. I store one in the fridge to harden up the fat enough so I can pour off the coconut water. Fast, tasty, and spoilage resistant. Here's another list of things I put in my fridge: lemon and lime juice, cinnamon, vanilla extract, cacao powder, that's spelled CACAO, not cocoa powder, totally different. Coconut cream, 3 to 4 cans, pili nuts, macadamia nuts, chia seeds, almond butter, and almonds. Fat facts. Fats and oils fall into 3 major groups: saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. The saturated fats are solid at room temperature. Examples of these are lard, butter, and coconut oil. These fats are the most chemically stable and the least inflammatory. Every keto kitchen needs these. Monounsaturated fats include beef tallow, olive oil, avocado oil, macadamia oil, and hazelnut oil. Polyunsaturated fats are the least stable of all fats. They are prone to rancidity and are easily affected by heat and light. Polyunsaturated fats come in 2 types: omega-6 and omega-3. Omega-6 fats tend to be more inflammatory. Somewhat less inflammatory are the ever-popular omega-3 fats found in fish oil and in fatty fish. Choose your fat with your digestive system in mind. Saturated and monounsaturated fats such as butter, macadamia nuts, coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, and egg yolks are much easier on your stomach. Many people cannot handle eating large amounts of polyunsaturated fats. Omega-6 vegetable oils such as the soybean, sunflower, safflower, corn, and canola oils are no longer found in my cupboards. Neither are many products containing these oils such as the commercially processed mayonnaise or margarine. When I coach patients on what type of fat to buy, I encourage them to find foods they like. I spend a great deal of time reassuring patients that the enemy does not lurk in saturated animal fats. Save that bacon fat to fry up your broccoli. Yum! When shopping, add these oils to your cart: MCT oil powder, be sure it says C8, coconut oil, butter, and olive oil. That'll get you started in the right direction. On to salty treats. Salty treats are a must on this diet. Since transitioning to this diet, I have added these 2 items to my cupboard: olives in oil and muffalata olive salad in a jar. Never heard of this? Just buy it, and when you get tired of plain eggs, add this. It makes all the difference. My kids love it. Sugar substitutes are not recommended long term. However, for the beginner, it certainly provides a bridge to use instead of sugar. Ketone success happens when these are removed from your life. Use with caution stevia and Truvia. And finally, the list includes cream cheese, heavy whipping cream, mayonnaise from avocado oil, sardines in oil. Hey, don't complain until you've tried them. Liverwurst. Again, don't freak out, just try it. Coffee, tea. Objection number 8. What about exercise? I am training for a marathon and use carbs for my fuel. First of all, good for you for running a marathon. These people are freaks of nature. To run 26 miles is one thing. To run it again and again, striving for your personal best, is inspirational. Endurance athletes pay lots of attention to their food energy. If they run out of usable energy at the end of their race, bad things happen. The next time your community is hosting a marathon, volunteer to hand out water or guard an intersection in the last mile of the race. Watch what happens to some of the ill-prepared athletes as they push themselves at the end of the race. Bonking is a term for running out of fuel during an endurance race. Specifically, the fuel for their brain is missing. If they are traditional athletes, their bodies are carb-fueled. Their glucose fuel source must be replenished again and again throughout the race. They burn through their pine needles wickedly fast with all the energy needed to race. This produces a delicate situation once they've used up their stored sugars in the form of glycogen. They need to throw the proper amount of pine needles into their furnace to keep racing. If they run out of glucose, they bonk. Their brain shuts down because it is totally glucose dependent. Even a lean athlete with under 15% body fat can carry more than 50,000 kilocalories in their fat. These calories are useless to them because their system is not adapted to burn fat for fuel. And let me tell you, the last mile of a 100-mile race is not the time to be asking your body to figure out ketosis. After several hours of intense exercise, an athlete running out of available glucose will describe their bonk as a strange experience where a dramatic loss in performance, a profound sudden depression, and intense food cravings coincide. Observers may notice the athlete shake and quiver with chills. They lose control of their bowels or bladder. They stumble as if drunk while their brain scrambles to find any morsel of glucose lingering around. On the other hand, fat-fueled endurance athletes have the flexibility to choose their fuel. If they practice fueling from fat for weeks before their race, they have a distinct advantage. Their brain cells can use either fuel. If their body gets low on fuel, they can add some glucose and use it. But if they run out of glucose, their keto-adapted cells activate the parts of their furnaces that burn fat instead of carbs. This transition happens in a flash because they are keto-adapted. They don't poop their pants, they don't bonk, unless they suffer from a very, very rare problem of running out of fat. The bonking athlete is much like a diesel-powered truck that runs out of fuel while hauling a tank filled with gasoline. There's gasoline fuel in his tank, but diesel engines are not equipped to use the gasoline. Fat-fueled, low-carb endurance athletes aren't just running races, they are winning at record-breaking times. Nothing grabs the attention of competitive endurance athletes like titles. These athletes are tossing out the carb-dense foods and chewing on fat for their fuel. Just think how much time gets shaved off a race if they don't have to pause for a bathroom 10 times in the race's last stretch. Warning to athletes: if you switch your fuel from carbs to a fat-fueled system, plan on a few weeks of decreased performance before you reap the benefits. Don't flip to this the week before your big race. Review the chapter on the 5 phases of keto adaptation. Take special notice of when your muscles and brain reach optimal ketone processing proficiency. To gain the advantage of powering your body from either fuel, you need 4 to 6 weeks of consistent ketosis before your race. But what does all this mean for the rest of us? Burning fat for fuel allows a steady production of ketones. Hunger simply disappears. Hunger comes from the blood sugars that swing up and down, from high to low, high, low, high, low. When the body's fuel source is stable instead of bouncing up and down, food cravings disappear. More importantly, inflammation within your body decreases each week you produce ketones. Chapter 20. Lessons from Dr. Bosworth. Intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, not a low-calorie diet. Please do not confuse my support of intermittent fasting with support for starvation. Let me be clear, no starving allowed. Reduced calorie diets are a no-no. Intermittent fasting knocks the socks off of the low-calorie or reduced calorie diet. Indeed, I could say that they are the opposite of each other. Intermittent fasting shifts your chemistry in the opposite direction of the low-calorie diets. A low-calorie diet would be more accurately called a torture diet. No matter its name, it triggers your chemistry to store fat. This low-calorie setting takes your food and squirrels it away inside cells designed to store energy. If you want a body chemistry that locks your energy efficiently into your fat cells, go on a reduced calorie diet. Every study regarding reduced calorie diets has proven this over and over again. Notice that I have not mentioned carbohydrates or fat. When scouring through every reduced calorie diet, notice that the instructors of these diets select food with the fewest calories. Fats add the most calories per bite, therefore are sparingly selected for these diets. When the dietitian adds fat to the list of foods, suddenly their low-calorie diet is no longer low in calories. Next, I included a graph in the book that plots out a whole bunch of different diets comparing carbohydrates and calories against one another. I asked the reader to look at the diet comparisons of the graph showing calories along the bottom and carbohydrates along the left side. For example, one very low-calorie diet recommends a total of 800 kilocalories in the form of liquids or protein bar supplements. The results? After several weeks, people on this diet might see significant weight loss. However, their bodies are in crisis. Their system is stressed, and you can measure their stress hormones to prove it. They do not sleep well, they feel tired, crabby, and they count down to the day that they can start eating again. Sadly, their metabolism suffered the greatest damage. During the 8 weeks of their diet ordeal, their body remains in the store all the food you can mode. When they resume eating, watch out. Boom! The calories will be sucked into storage, never to be released again. Why does the body react this way? The body registered a trickle of incoming fuel, and those limited resources transmitted a message that you are about to face starvation. The key word in that statement is about. Never do they actually enter a time of absent calories. Evolution has taught each of your cells that when food gets scarce, they need to store calories away because there's a famine coming. People on starvation or reduced calorie diets are only a few hundred calories away from a biochemical state where their cells say the opposite message. People on starvation or reduced calorie diets are only a few hundred calories away from a biochemical state where their cells say the opposite message. Take away those final calories, and the message changes to, we are in a famine. Release calories from storage. We need to survive by using all resources within our body. By consuming low calorie instead of 0 calories, your body chemistry never fully shifts to fasting mode. You miss out on the advantages of fasting. A low-calorie diet gradually slows down your metabolism. Your body prepares for what is to come by conserving every possible calorie. Your cell's internal furnace also helps by reducing the energy burned in the mitochondria throughout the body. Translation, you're tired. This pre-fasting state sabotages even the most diligent people. In this biochemical state, you torture your body with a grumbling hunger, a nervous irritability, as well as an unsettled feeling of impending stress. How does your body do this? In a word, chemistry. Low-calorie diets provide the ideal chemistry to keep fat inside your fat cells. The longer you stick to your torture-based diet, the greater the damage to your metabolic motor. Put simply, you're caught in a race to the bottom. Eventually, you will eat normally again. I've had patients stay on these low-calorie diets for months, even years, and their metabolism plummets to as little as 600 calories a day. At that level, it's so easy for them to gain weight. Every tiny bit of food they eat after the first 600 calories goes right into their fat storage. It stays forever, locked. The body compensates for all the lost time spent begging for more calories by storing anything extra. That chemical signal remains active for weeks after they start eating again. It's as if their body does not trust that the food will remain available. In my clinic, it takes 6 to 12 weeks to fix that broken metabolism. To sum it up, if you go on a calorie-reduced diet, your metabolism slows down, you are hungry all the time, you reverse any weight loss process because you are fighting against your own hormones. Now, you might ask, how the heck is a reduced calorie diet different from fasting? Strangely, the difference when measuring the difference when measured by calorie intake is only a few hundred calories apart. But the divergent biochemical effects could not be more pronounced. Fasting chemistry is an extension of the ketogenic chemistry. Both fasting-based chemistry and ketosis-based chemistry produce the opposite effects of a low-calorie chemistry, of a low-calorie setting. Completely halting your intake of calories switches on your body's ketone production system. I explain it to my patients this way. In a low-calorie chemical state, those few calories tell your body that you're actually going to respond to the hunger and eat. Your body receives the signal that there's food around, just not very much. Your body gets the command to hold on to any calories it comes across, and even sends some irritable, aggressive signals to your brain to grab food. Your body then stores many of those calories for the perceived impending famine. When you're fasting, your body gets the very clear message that there is no food. You are on your own to survive until food becomes available again. The chemistry and hormones hear one message: no food. The chemical message is, don't die between now and the next meal. Use your stored energy. This signal is clear and effective. Within 12 hours, your body's chemistry begins to shift. The biochemical signal is loudest and clearest after 72 hours of fasting. Chemical signals surge throughout your body, instructing cells to burn calories from your energy reserves, your stored fat. Ketosis and fasting are on the same spectrum of body chemistry. Of course, fasting features a more intense chemical setting compared to ketosis. Intermittent fasting sends a very clear and distinct chemical message to your body to shift and adapt to no calories for the next 12, 24, or 36 hours, however long you remain fasting. When you eat, do not wreck the chemical shift with carbohydrates or excess protein. Instead, adopt a high-fat ketosis diet. Doing so keeps your insulin levels low and allows your cells access to your body's stored calories, your fat deposits, if needed. Studies indicate that calorie reduction body chemistry leads to a disastrous metabolic mess. This happens every single time. A host of studies have shown that when you reduce calories, the body slips into slower metabolism. Also, your body instinctively stores calories in preparation for starvation. It stores all that energy and awaits the drought of calories certainly coming soon. When we restrict instead of stopping calorie intake, we get stuck in that pre-starvation, pre-fasting chemistry. In the book, I include a chart documenting the process of a person losing 50 pounds of fat. Before switching to ketosis, she had whittled her metabolism down to 800 calories per day. She needed 800 measly calories to keep her alive. If she ate exactly 800 per day, her system would use those 800 calories to stay alive and signal every mitochondria to slow down, use less energy. Tomorrow, her body would need only 799 calories to stay alive. If she ate 130 carbohydrates through her low-calorie, low-fat diet, but accidentally ate one bite extra, pushing her to a total of 820 calories, all 20 of those extra calories would go into storage. She would get fatter. Her body followed the rules by putting every extra calorie into her fat cells. In our example, anything over 800 calories is extra because she is in pre-starvation mode. Her body protected her by storing all extra calories above her body's energy expenditure, above the base level of energy needed to live. In the chart, she switches to a ketogenic diet, which sparks a chemistry shift that flushed out her extra water and began the slow rehabilitation of her broken metabolism. The first 20 pounds she lost came from getting rid of all that extra water. 25 days after she started, her body fully adapted to using fat as her fuel. Notice her expenditure row. This refers to how much energy it takes to fuel her body each day. Think back to your furnaces. In the 800-calorie setting, her furnaces were all but shut down. Any remaining furnaces all burned her carb-based fuel, those pine needles that burn hot and fast. Initially, she argued with me saying, "But doc, I am on a high-protein diet." She failed to grasp that she forced most of those proteins into a carb fuel because of her pre-starvation chemistry. The difference between the 800-calorie energy expenditure and 2,800-calorie energy expenditure sparked a lightning bolt through her body. Her 800-calorie fueled system made her look and feel wilted, complete with thin hair, dull skin, and a brain that limps from one task to the next. During my first visit with her, I noticed her muffled, slurred speech, symptoms of a swollen, toxic, sugar-fed brain. The 2,800-calorie eating took 2 weeks to awaken her lifeless mitochondria and lit a firecracker to her metabolism. How did I know her metabolism was so high? It did not take a medical doctor to figure that out. Everyone saw it. Her energy was contagious. She lost 70 pounds that year. It is worth noting that the chart shows her first 50 pounds. The final 20 pounds came when she lowered her carbs back to about 30 grams per day. Her history of energy-storing chemistry was very sensitive to carbohydrates. The slightest increase in carbs, and her system slipped into making insulin and locking her fat cells closed. Objection number 9. Wait, why was she eating 30 grams of carbs? Doesn't that violate the 20-gram rule? She simply measured her blood ketones and glucose. She studied herself. When she ate more than 50 carbs a day, her blood ketones were rarely in ketosis, which is anything greater than 0.5. When she stayed at 20 carbs per day, she was always in ketosis, but found herself giving in to temptations. She gradually increased her carb intake to 30 grams per day, where she was still in ketosis, yet was able to eat enough carbs to say no to the foods she should not eat. This diet is a measurable chemistry equation. Measure your chemistry to prove to yourself what is happening with your system. Fit your food intake into the equation to get the desired effect. By the end of that year, she had radiant skin tone, healthy new hair growth, and abundant energy. The best victory in her ketogenic transition is that this woman now has the metabolism that will enable her to fall off the keto wagon every once in a while. If she overeats and stops producing ketone, she has a built-in motor to reverse any imbalance before her cheating will have a chance to produce much weight gain. When asked what the key to her success was, she replied, "Testing my ketones every day. I had to be honest with myself. I became the ketone pea stick lady at work. I had to keep proving to myself that I was eating right. Lots of friends and family thought I was nuts for eating so much fat. Ketone sticks helped me know I was doing this correctly and scientifically. Every day I peed on a stick. That made all the difference." Clincher. Calorie reduction increases your hunger and decreases your metabolism. Intermittent fasting does the opposite. It decreases your appetite while stimulating your metabolism, all while burning your stored fat. Chapter 21. Grandma Rose. A 40-day fast interrupted. For the next 2 days, I guarded her hospital room. Our goal was 40 days of fasting, in secret. Neither of us had the confidence or energy to pull anyone else onto our bandwagon. In the quiet darkness of the hospital room, we planned our next steps. The next morning, her medical team offered her carb-filled hospital food. To us, this represented the enemy. Carbs, aka sugar. Sugar, aka the devil. Her orders in the chart reflected their plan to slowly introduce foods back to her diet. The trays of Jell-O and ice cream and pudding came. Smiles all around. The nurses left, and her food went straight down the toilet. Flush. We secretly flushed all her hospital food, hiding any evidence of our lies. Meanwhile, I snuck her in the good stuff, bone broth. Had you asked me to read this story a year prior, this woman might be a medical doctor, but she is going to kill her mother. Several times throughout the prior months, I had read about keto folks using bone broth for their fasts. Fasting remained this out-of-reach idea before now. Every time I encountered information about these longer fasts, I skimmed over them, confident I would never need that information. The night her abscesses drained, I crouched in the dimness of her hospital hallway, scrolling back to find all that missed information. There were some goofy rules about useless bone broth versus a nutrient-dense version. Expecting to never taste it, let alone live off of it for a month, I hadn't even read the information. In the hospital shadows, I had learned that bone broth was not quite the salted water I had imagined. In contrast, this nutrient-dense concoction was a spoonful of gold. The difference began with the bones. Lots of little bones, such as those from chickens or knuckle bones from cows, provided greater surface area for the bone marrow. The marrow, found inside the hollow parts of a bone, filled each bite with Mary Poppins magic. Each bite is packed with nutrients. If all she ate for 40 days was bone marrow broth, she had a chance of making it. And by making it, I meant living versus dying. At that moment, her swollen, blocked off, inflamed, infected intestines had created a tunnel from the insides of her guts, connecting those engorged abscesses. This detour linked her unused food to the top of her vagina. This fragile mess of a tunnel needed as little of a job as possible. Several teaspoons of dense nutrients would enter into her stomach, and our hope was that all but a speck of that nutrients would be absorbed before arriving at her detour tunnel. The good stuff. How do you tell good bone broth from the worthless version? Good broth remained in gel form at room temperature. This is a quick and dirty way to prove that the broth had enough glucosamine, chondroitin, and other marrow proteins to provide the nutrient density Grandma Rose needed. We wanted her home and away from all things hospital. The doctors promised removal of her IVs once her diet advanced to normal. We avoided the official definition of that word. Nourishment entered her stomach and was absorbed completely before it got to her newly rerouted exit. I called out to friends on social media. Mayday, mayday, needed. Gelatinous bone broth for Grandma Rose. Not surprising, no one understood what I was talking about. Bone broth was a foreign term to most who read the message, not even factoring in the additional term gelatinous. I followed up with video education using YouTube. My virtual classroom for fellow Midwestern pioneers sparked an old-fashioned cook-off. Mary, quite contrary, how does your bone broth gel? Grandma Rose fasted for another 3 days as we awaited the special delivery of bone broth. A complete fast scared me, but she marched through those days like a champion. The IV salted and hydrated her system just right. We celebrated every time we tested her urine ketones, very high levels. Her first swallow of broth left both of us anxious about a looming reaction. She took 1 tablespoonful of the salty, warm liquid, and then we waited. An hour later, she took bite number 2. Still nothing. At the half cup point, a slight wave of cramps hit her tummy and sliced through our courage. We stopped for the day. The cramps did not last long. She rested. Relieved by the lack of trouble, we tried again the following day. Once again, success. She ate a fourth of a cup twice that day. Before the end of the second day, we found black specks in the slime of her panty liner. Without food, the slick discharge had all but stopped except for a smear of mucus on her panty liner. It looked like thick snot. Sometimes a little blood tinged the pad, but the day after her first bone broth, black specks appeared in the slime. We stared at the pad in silence, then at one another, wondering what we had done. In unison, we said, "Pepper!" We had seasoned the bone broth with salt and pepper. That speck of remaining nutrients making it out the exit had arrived. On the fourth day, she drank 2 servings of hot, salty broth. It worked. 10 days of fasting, and we claimed success. And by we, I mean Grandma Rose. My grand ambitions of fasting as long as Grandma Rose melted after the 3rd day. I had left the hospital dazed with distracted thoughts of Grandma Rose's convoluted pooping system. Caught in my mental fog, I drove through and completely on autopilot ordered my default cream-filled coffee. I realized I had broken my fast when it was about half gone. Dang. But not Grandma Rose. She stuck to it. Do or die helped her stay the course. I wanted to add to her momentum, but she flew solo. 10 days with nothing to eat except small amounts of bone broth, and she soared on the winds of her Mary Poppins magic. The hospital team remained unaware that all sugar and carbs fed her toilet bowl. The unfortunate dietitian from the hospital kitchen faced our collective anger when she offered Grandma Rose a chocolate ice cream shake. Outside of snapping at that dietitian, Grandma Rose looked high, euphoric. Not painkiller kind of high, she was off of those. Her mental zone persisted in a state of exhilaration, ratcheting up one notch at a time. Her elation rose higher and higher. One night she could not sleep, not a wink. Skirting on the edge of some sort of enlightenment, she could not shut down. My late-night speed reading about extended fasts warned me about this possibility. The advanced mental performance shows up around day 5, according to most of the blogs and reports I had read. Indeed, that predictable sleepless night took place, but in Grandma Rose's case, it arrived between fasting day 11 and 12. The longer the fast went on, the quicker she seemed to heal. Her energy ascended to the highest level I had seen in months. The magic of Mary Poppins, or the power of the Holy Spirit, percolated through her veins. On fasting day number 13, without anyone knowing of her fast, she left the hospital.